Aunt Zhang raised her hand and wiped the cold sweat on her forehead. The princes and concubines are in a hurry to come back, and the maidservants have just been called in recently. This garden is in disrepair for a long time. We have to take a good rest. The big guys are usually busy taking a rest, and they don't notice it for a moment. I thought that Immerse Shanghua would take advantage of the problem and not give her steps. But unexpectedly, she just nodded her head and said in a soft voice, "It's hard for you. No hard work, no hard work." In addition to the accident, Aunt Zhang grabbed the steps and said, "The princess has been working hard all the way. Let's go in quickly." Say, "Then let open way come." Those servant girls and servants also all follow her together. Let open way come. Qinya is well aware of the temperament of Immerse Shanghua. Seeing that she has changed her mouth, she doesn't ask much. She just asks someone to move good things and goes in with Immerse Shanghua first. A group of people in the garden through. The flower seems to be stable, but also from time to time in the garden's sweeping eyes. Aunt Zhang didn't dare to lie. The garden was clean and elegant. She saw that it had been cleaned and repaired. Qinya followed Immerse Shanghua and said in a low voice, "Princess, it seems that it's not the same as what I think." Immerse Shanghua smiles a little, and the corner of his lips is slightly ironic. Face kung fu should be done enough in the end. Qinya nodded and glanced at Aunt Zhang, who was leading the way. Immerse Shanghua just said that she didn't deliberately lower her voice. She should be able to hear it, but she didn't respond. "Aunt Zhang, where are we going?" She didn't make a sound. Qinya simply asked directly. Aunt Zhang looked back and kept on walking. The princess has been working hard all the way. At this moment, she should go to the bedroom and have a good rest. This arrangement is no problem, which spend a step on the street, standing in the same place. The servant girls and servants who followed her also stopped. "The Lord has not come in yet. How can I arrange for him?" "Qinya, take someone to the bedroom to clean up. I'll go to the main hall and wait for him." Qinya has not yet answered. Aunt Zhang seems to have been caught in the key. She comes forward in a hurry. "Princess, you are tired all the way. You'd better have a rest first. The maid is waiting in the house." With a smile on her face, she said, "If not, you'd better take a nap. When you wake up, you'll get some food. It's not too late to wait for the Lord. Don't bother. I'll just wait in the main hall." Immerse Shanghua was not moved. "If you are upset, you will send someone to ask the Lord to come back. Aunt Zhang, lead the way." Seeing this, Qinya didn't wait for Aunt Zhang to open her mouth, so she took over the conversation and said, "Princess, don't worry. I will clean up the room inside and outside." Aunt Zhang immediately had no room to refute, so she had to answer nervously, "That slave girl will take the princess first. This small base embryo is so stubborn. She must quickly let people quietly clean up." Qinya beside sweet smile, "Then please take care of my Aunt Zhang, princess." With that, she wanted to take people down first. After 2 steps, she came back again. "By the way, I almost forgot that this is not Yuzhou, and I don't know the way. I asked Aunt Zhang to send some people here." Immerse Shanghua also nodded gently. Qinya and others are all from Yuzhou. They are not familiar with this place. They need to send more old people to help clean it up to take care of it. Said, her eyes fell on Aunt Zhang. "I only need 2 or 3 people to lead the way here. The rest will be sent to clean up." "Yes, princess." Aunt Zhang couldn't find out what was wrong with her words, so she had to deal with it. After a short time, she led Immerse Shanghua to the main hall and brought tea and water in person. Not only that, she wiped the table with her sleeve before she sat down on the flower. She was very careful. Immerse Shanghua glanced at the table and said, "I just ate too much outside in the cold wind, but I'm not used to it." Aunt Zhang laughed and said, "It's right to serve the princess. Why don't you try this tea first? It's Zuetingqi, which is specially appreciated by the queen." "I'm not thirsty." The flowers on the street began to walk slowly in the hall, and their eyes looked around like nothing. Aunt Zhang's heart also went up to her throat, and she scolded in her heart. "I should have known that the new official took office 3 times before." It was the mother in the backyard who was not serious. She had to tell her all the time that the princess was a soft persimmon when she was in the prime minister's residence. Now, I'm afraid it's going to be bad luck. Sure enough, before she had a turn in her mind, she began to listen to the cold voice of the stranger. Aunt Zhang, this is what you cleaned in advance. I saw her stop in front of small few, raised her hand in the corner of the table, gently wipe that ing by slender fingers suddenly stained with dust. Aunt Zhang knelt down quickly and did not explain. She bit her teeth and said, "Please punish the princess. My aunt really came out of the palace. She is really different from other people." Did not want to emo. Shanghua did not immediately blame Pale. Aunt Zhang lowered her head and didn't speak. She was not sure. Emo Shanghua looked down at Aunt Zhang kneeling on the ground and said calmly, "I'm not trying to punish you." Aunt Zhang couldn't help thinking differently. What does the princess want? I just want you to know. The flower on the street dropped her eyes and picked up the teacup on the table. No matter where it was sent, if you enter my palace, you can only be loyal to the palace. If you dare to have a different heart. Later, she did not go on, but the teacup in her hand suddenly loosened, and the teacup fell to the ground, falling apart, and the broken porcelain tea splashed everywhere. A few drops of tea splashed onto the back of Aunt Zhang's hand. Although the tea had been softened, it was as hot as it had just been made. I dare not. Aunt Zhang couldn't care about the broken porcelain on the ground, so she pressed her head tightly on the ground, and her palms were already sweating. Emo Shanghua didn't speak. She put the tea cover on the table and stepped out. Qinya ordered her to come over to the bedroom, and then called someone to lead her. At this time, she was guarding outside the door. As soon as she saw the flowers coming out, she hurried forward to help her put on her cloak. "Princess, it's going to take some time to clean up here. Before I enter the mansion just now, I already had a good look. There's a restaurant on the West Street. Let's go there first and use it. We'll clean it up when we come back." Emo Shanghua lowered his head and tied a tie, but he didn't lift his head. Well, give them time to think about it. At this time, Aunt Zhang in the house still kept the same appearance as when she went out. She didn't change a bit until a servant girl came in and called her in surprise. "Aunt Zhang, what's going on? It's just a broken cup. How can you look at it?" That small servant girl sees her to return to mind. Can't help good, strange way. My aunt's face was dark, and she didn't have a good way of saying, "What can I do? It's just that the new official takes office with 3 fires. Look at her look is not right." The small servant girl immediately dare not speak. Help her to get up first. "You're not easy to handle, little bitch, but I'm not a vegetarian either." Thinking of what happened just now, Aunt Zhang could not help squeezing the little girl's hand and resenting her face. However, a poor princess, who wanted to embarrass her in the imperial city, didn't believe that this little bitch could be arrogant all the time. Emo Shanghua chose a window seat and sat down. He drank the soup slowly. He saw that it was getting late, and he didn't plan to go back home. The restaurant they're doing now is not near the palace, but a luxurious place only for officials and nobles. What's more, it's only 1 street away from the places where the nobles live. At present, she is sitting in the right Prime Minister Liu Bohan's residence, just through the alley in front of her. Looking down the alley, there was a dazzling light at the end, which was brighter and more noble than the street where she was now. Qinya looked out of the window and saw that the lanterns were on. Then she said, "Princess, when are we going back?" The flower head on the road also did not lift, lightway, withdraw. Qinya glanced at the leftover soup on the table and was about to stand up to greet Xiao Er. Then she listened to Hua Yu on the street and said, "Let Xiao Er change tea and snacks." Qinya eyebrow when the head done tangled bewilderment of wrinkling together. "You still don't plan to go?" "Of course not." Emo Shanghua nodded, pinched the teacup in front of him, and urged, "Hurry up, the tea is cold." It seems that he really has full elegance. Qinya had no choice but to call Xiao Er. When the tea and snacks are all ready, the flowers on the street will enjoy the tea and snacks leisurely. They look very comfortable. Qinya couldn't help but wonder. She came up to her and asked in a low voice, "Princess, what kind of medicine do you sell in this gourd?" Emo Shanghua looks up, and his lips are slightly pulled up. "I can't talk about selling medicine, but I'm just waiting for someone." After a pause, she glanced at the alley outside the window and said to Qinya, "Go to the door and stare at the little two here to see if you want to ask him anything." Chinya didn't know why, so she nodded and went out. In a moment, Chinya quickly came in, squatted in front of the flower on the street, and said in a smaller voice, "Princess, someone really inquired about you with the shop boy." "What did the man say?" The flowers on the street seemed to have been expected for a long time, and there was no surprise on the face. Without saying anything, I asked if Princess you was here. Chinya thought about it carefully, and then said, "Look at the clothes. It seems that they're from some family." Mo Flower gently nodded, as if all this is known. Chinya is ready to say something, but CMO Shanghua, suddenly originally indifferent I light shoe of a Li, Lo, Awei, who is outside. At the same time, she quickly drew a silver needle between her fingers and shot at the door. The door of the box was originally replaced by a curtain. Before moving, people outside felt a numbness on their legs and fell to the ground. Chinya rushed to the door, called 2 accompanying guards, pressed the man in front of the flower. "Princess, I know him. It's just that he's been asking the waiter." Chinya glanced at the man kneeling on the ground and immediately recognized him. Mo Shanghua nodded slightly, indicating that he knew, and then moved his eyes to the kneeling man. "It's no doubt that you're the young man in the right Prime Minister's mansion." Although she was clear in her heart, she didn't know what to do on the surface. Knowing the reason, she asked, "Who are you from? What do you do when you spy on me?" "It's something you can send to an official. You can think about it clearly." Chinya sees this, then cooperates in the side threat. The little guy shrunk his neck and stammered, I. He is just a newcomer from the government. He has always been doing things according to the rules. Now, when he encounters such a posture, he is very scared. Mo Shanghua saw that he didn't say anything, so she raised her head and motioned for Chinya with her eyes. The servants of a respectable family usually have wooden cards of symbolic identity on their bodies. Therefore, Chinya went forward to search the man and found sign. Mo Shanghua pinched the brand in his hand and said, "It's the people in Lu Xiangfu." The boy could not help but shrunk again and said, Yes, princess. No, young lady. In fact, I came to visit you at your master's command." "Is it?" The flower on the street didn't open, but slowly spit out 2 words in the mouth, and the dark color is shining in the eyes. Yes. I'm sweating a lot." Mo Shanghua's reputation is well known. Because she returned to the city also spread a few days of gossip. What's more, it exaggerates to the point that every move she makes after she enters the city is watched by others. Now, this movement has attracted some young people outside, and the servant girls and servants who come out with their own noble people, and they're all hiding outside eavesdropping. Mo Shanghua had already noticed that her eyes turned slightly, and her voice improved a little. "I have never seen such a visit before. I'm afraid of eavesdropping, and I haven't carried anything. How can I have the appearance of visiting?" Speaking of the back, her voice sank a little bit, "But you're not fake either." Chinya just guessed the intention of Mo Shanghua, so she raised her voice and said, "Princess, although she doesn't know what the purpose of this person is, she is from the right Prime Minister's mansion. There are only 2 masters in the right Prime Minister's mansion, Yu Xiang and his daughter. They're not bound for a while." The flower on the street heard the words and nodded gently. Her voice was a little sad and said, "He hates me, but it's not like this. Well, in the face of the right Prime Minister, let you go for the time being." "Let him go." Chinya opens his mouth at the right time, and the boy is released immediately. The boy didn't dare to say anything. He kowtowed and got up to leave. Have not stepped out of the door, but suddenly Flower's open mouth, voice cold a lot. "Remember, I am not you. The Lady of Prime, Minister Yofu." Although it was only the boy's flattering eyes, she felt sick after hearing it. The boy nodded his head and left the curtain. As soon as he went out, he found out that the door was not the one who had been curious at first. Many of them were sent by their own masters to inquire about the news. The sound insulation of this box is not very good. In addition, the voice of Mo Shanghua is a little louder. At present, I'm afraid it will spread all over the capital in half a day. In this way, the young lady had to kill her. Thinking of this, the boy's face turned white for a moment, faltered under his feet, and then rushed back in a hurry. Many servant girls outside the door saw that he was leaving in a mess and listened to the voice of the people in the curtain just now. They couldn't help looking at the thin curtain in front of them with curiosity and gossip. They wanted to open it immediately. This princess Yu is very famous. When she left the imperial city at the beginning, she was magnificent, and when she was in Yuzhou, she never stopped right and wrong. It is said that after he went to Yuzhou, his temperament changed greatly. He was vicious, jealous, arrogant, and domineering. It is said that this dandy, relying on the waste firewood of King Yu, almost controlled the whole Yuzhou. It's said that this one had a beautiful face. Later, he was destroyed. His face was ugly and terrible. He was not favored by King Yu. So many gossips make people curious. What are you looking at? Qin Yu suddenly lifted the curtain and came out, sweeping the people at the door. I didn't expect that these people were also shameless. The first reaction was not shame. Instead, Qin Yu opened the curtain and looked inside. Unfortunately, they only caught a glimpse of the corner of their clothes. In addition to Qin Yu's poor appearance at the door, they naturally did not dare to stay for a long time and scattered one after another. Princess, should we go back? After dispersing the people at the door, Qin Yu comes in again. The flower on the street put down the teacup in her hand and took a meaningful look at the deep lane. She got up and said, "Let's go." They just got on the carriage, then heard a soft and anxious female voice behind them. "Sister, walk slowly." Although the voice was soft and sweet, it was not hard to hear. It was just as if I had never heard it before. I went straight to the carriage and didn't even look back. Qin, you just want to turn back. Also, Baimo, Shanghua quietly pulled, want to follow her together on the carriage. Let's go. He took a good seat in the carriage and ignored the people outside. Sister, walks slowly. But unexpectedly, the owner of the voice, that is, Lu Qianqian, did not even care about her image. She caught up with her skirt and waited outside the carriage. Sister has something to say to you. Please spare me some time. After a short trot, Lu Qian's breath is not very smooth now. Her beautiful white cheeks add a bit of blush. In addition, Lu's eyebrows frown slightly. She looks more and more weak and thin. It's still like this. I don't want to see her. Qin you tell her, she said. Qin nodded, lifted the curtain on the carriage window, and said, Miss Lu, it's getting late now. Our princess has just arrived in the imperial city. There are still many things to deal with in the palace. You can't afford to delay. Please go back. But I do have something to tell my sister. If I can't explain it clearly, I'm afraid my conscience will be in trouble. Lu Qian does not want to leave. The handkerchief in the hand agitates uneasily. You are the prime minister's daughter, and I am Princess Yu. It's neither proper nor reasonable for you to call my sister. Shanghua's indifferent voice suddenly came out of the car. Calm can't hear a ripple. After a pause, she added, It's said that Miss Lu knows the rules best. Only this sentence. Let Lu Qian's soft one clear beautiful cheek ruthlessly stiff. Since she thought that Lu Xiang was a real daughter, she was despised by many aristocratic families. Later, she worked hard step by step to gain the reputation of being knowledgeable and talented. Now the words of flowers on the street are just like the words of killing the heart. She squeezed the handkerchief in her hand and was about to say something. Unexpectedly, Shanghua ordered someone to drive away, regardless of her face. In this way, Lu Qianqian's face was completely lost. I'm just a commoner girl with no name and no division. Now, I'm putting on the airs of a princess. It's really hateful. Seeing this, her maidservant could not help feeling aggrieved for her master. Shut up, it's my fault. Lu Qianqian immediately turned his head and yelled in a low voice. His eyes were full of tears and remorse. It was I who robbed my sister's identity. Miss, the servant girl suddenly became more and more unfair. That's your identity. She has occupied the nest for so long. You, don't say it. It's all my fault. It's my thoughtlessness. I didn't let the boy make it clear. Lu Qianqian's eyes turned around intentionally or unintentionally and continued to cry. I just heard that my elder sister has come back, and I want to let the young man take a look at his elder sister's present situation and see if he's doing well. Then, as if helpless, He raised his hand and gently wiped the thin tears from the corners of his eyes. It's all right. I'll make amends to my sister another day. Miss, you're just too kind. Servant girl face is also a face helplessly helped Lu Qianqian to get on carriage. As she stepped into the carriage, Lu Qianqian listened to the voices of the passers-by, talking about it. She pinched the handkerchief in her palm, which eased down, and the corner of her lip gently raised. Bitch, it's ridiculous that she wants to ruin her reputation with such a move. Today's boy, I don't need him to do business here in the future. Find a chance to send him out. As soon as he got on the carriage, Lu Qianqian immediately changed his face and opened his mouth slightly annoyed. The servant girl is also not in, seemed to be outside of time, tooth, sharp mouth sharp. Very obedient, should descend, dare not say more half-sentence. When Mo Shanghua returned to the house, the bedroom and other places had been properly cleaned up, and there was no mistake. Aunt Zhang was also very obedient and prepared everything early. When she saw that Mo Shanghua had eaten, she immediately asked someone to get a bath water to serve Mo Shanghua. It's just that the flowers on the street, don't let other people get close. Just let Qinya be there. As for whether Yin Beicheng was going back to the mansion, she simply stopped asking, pretending that she didn't care much about it, just to make Aunt Zhang think that they were not in the same boat. Qinya poured petals into the barrel and asked curiously, Princess, what did you say to Aunt Zhang? How could she be so obedient? Mo Shanghua pinched a petal in her hand and gave a smile. It's like her petal, no matter what identity she is always pinched by me. If I want her to die, she naturally finds a million reasons and can't escape. Said, she gently threw out the petals. I just let her know, I want her life. Then she outside the master to be easy 100 times. Qinya swallowed her saliva in silence, with a frightened look on her face. It's no wonder that Aunt Zhang took up her tale to be a man. However, I admire the princess in my heart. Qinya said, with another look of admiration, it's not just Aunt Zhang. I'm afraid that hypocritical Miss Lu is going to be disgraced. See how she can smile. At first, she didn't know the purpose of the flower. Later, she realized that the flower had made such a big circle. She was really relieved. Mo Shanghua raised her hand to point Qinya's eyebrows and said with a smile, so soon I'll get carried away. Qinya blinked and wiped the water stains on her eyebrows. When I know what you've done with her, I don't like her very much. If you frustrate her, I'll be happy. Mo Shanghua shook her head and said faintly, originally, she was safe, but she came too fast. If we left early in the morning, she is really irrefutable. It's a pity that she came too fast and entangled with us for a while. In fact, her original purpose is not to destroy Lu Qianqian's reputation. Such a painless thing, she only feel boring. Originally, she just wanted to see her cheap dad and know how she would react here. Dealing with Lu Qian is just a temporary intention. She has no plans to talk to Qinya about these. Qinya is full of love for her. If she knows that she will only be unfair to her, maybe she will not understand why she did it. Only she can understand it herself. Sure enough, her thoughts just turn around. Qinya hit the water angrily and said angrily, I knew I would ignore her at the beginning and drive away directly. After saying that, she realized what she had done and came over with a handkerchief. Princess, I didn't mean to. Are your eyes okay? Wipe it up. Mo Shanghua took the handkerchief and wiped the water stains splashed on his eyes. He was angry and funny. I'm okay. It's just that when you were so grumpy. Qinya stood up at a loss, her face full of shame, and she stammered, I don't know, well, I don't blame you, but you must change it in the future. The flower on the street is smiling, pretending to be serious. Qinya just stares at her eyes. Seeing that it doesn't matter, she is relieved. She immediately guarantees, I will change it. I swear. You look lovely too. Mo Shanghua couldn't help laughing and raised her hand to pinch Qinya's neat bun. Qinya puffed her mouth and said, Don't laugh, princess. The Lord hasn't come back yet. The maid has just seen it. She's not here. Oh, Mo Shanghua just slightly raised her eyes, then lowered her head to wipe her body. He is not like this once or twice. As long as he doesn't delay to go to the palace tomorrow, he will follow him. Seeing this, Chinya sighed and stopped talking. How could such a good woman as their princess be born to such a dandy? As everyone knows, all this is under the control of Mo Shanghua and Yin Beicheng. Yinbei City came back to the mansion early the next morning with Nanha. Because I want to enter the palace, I have to prepare for it. The servant girl just went in and was sent out by Nanhe. However, the servant girl who was sent out was relieved. What's the matter? What's the matter inside? How did you come out like this? A servant girl, seeing her like this, couldn't help asking. The little servant girl hesitated for a while, pulled the servant girl aside, and then whispered, "Just now when I helped to clean up, I quietly looked up. Our Lord, there's such a big birthmark on his face. It's scarlet and scarlet. I almost lost my temper." Can there be false rumors? It's true that it's possible to be a fake. I heard that our princess was ruined and looked terrible, but I didn't expect that it was a fake news. No, I had a look at it yesterday. The skin was smooth and white, better than a shelled egg. The rumor was not believable to her. What are you talking about? They were talking, but Aunt Zhang didn't know when she was behind them. Two people were startled, busy low-brow astringent purpose station good, mutter way no. Aunt Zhang, with a smile on her face, said, "What are you so afraid of me doing? We're all in one mind. I'm also a woman. Naturally, I'm just curious." They were relieved. One of the women came to Aunt Zhang's ear and whispered what she had just said. Then she said, "Isn't Aunt Zhang an old man in the palace? This matter should be clearer than us." Aunt Zhang flashed a little unnatural on her face and said, "I used to serve Lady Shufei. At that time, Lady Shufei's mother was not very good. She sent me to serve her. Naturally, she didn't know." The two servant girls didn't doubt it. They nodded and went down to do their own business. It was Aunt Zhang, and her eyes were gradually tinged with something thoughtful. "Princess, the prince's side has been cleaned up." Aunt Zhang respectfully made a salute to the flowers on the street. "I see." Mo Shanghua is still sitting in front of the dresser, never got up, let a little older aunt for her bun. Chinya comes from the countryside, so she's not as good as her aunt at the moment. Aunt Zhang bowed her head to answer the question, but before she stepped down, she stood waiting. Just the light of the eyes, but without trace, swept away on the side face of the flower on the street. Before looking at her, the aunt who helped her to dress up had already put the last hairpin on her and said with a smile, "Okay." Mo Shanghua didn't care much. She glanced at herself in the bronze mirror and stood up. "Let's go." I don't know what she looks like now. All the women in the room are ashamed of her. Today's Mozhang flower is dressed in a luxurious Tibetan blue palace dress. Like good silk, its long black and soft hair is tied up into a bun, and all of them are coiled on the top of the head, revealing a long white gooseneck. She wears a green hair crown, and even the lipstick is red, which makes her skin more beautiful. In addition, a pair of indifferent eyebrows and eyes add a lot of color to the whole person. It is beautiful and beautiful. Where does this have the appearance which once destroyed the appearance? Aunt Zhang was stunned and couldn't help but widen her eyes. She carefully swept the flower's cheek inch by inch. However, Mo Shanghua's skin was delicate, white and tender, and there was no flaw, which surprised Aunt Zhang. "What are you looking at, Aunt Zhang?" Seeing that Aunt Zhang's face was a little strange, Chinya couldn't help asking. Aunt Zhang quickly lowered her head and said with a smile, "I was a slave. I've been working in the palace for more than 10 years, and I've never seen such a beauty as the princess." Chinya didn't realize that he was there. She also laughed. That's nature. Mo Shanghua has long been used to other people's eyes, but doesn't care. She looks down and straightens the wrinkles on her clothes, then moves forward. Yinbei City had been waiting on the carriage for a long time. When the flowers came out of the house, he got on the carriage directly. The carriage started slowly and rushed to the palace. Chinya followed Aunt Zhang outside the carriage. The more Aunt Zhang thought about it, the more she realized that it was impossible for her to come from an empty hole. She could not help but pull La Chinya's sleeve and pretended to be curious. I heard that our princess didn't look like this. Chinyame twisted her head and said, "What do you mean? Is it possible that the one sitting here is a fake princess?" "Don't worry, girl. I didn't say that." Anjong quickly lost her smile. "I just heard the girls at the bottom chew their tongue and say that the princess had ruined her face. Today, I saw that there was no scar at all. It's not like that at all." Chinya's eyes were a little suspicious. After a little thought, she said calmly, "If you chew your tongue like this, I'll tell the princess that I'll punish you for disrespect." Aunt Zhang didn't expect that Chinya, a young girl with a tender face, was so hard to deal with. Her face broke down and she was calm and silent. But the stranger in the carriage didn't know anything about the outside. Mo Shanghua looks at Yin Beicheng, who is well-dressed and ruddy. He can't help but hook up his lips. In his words, he insinuates, "The Lord looks good." Yin Beicheng is not angry, grinning. With the princess, it is no good look will follow the light to become better. Mo Shanghua's eyes stare at him coolly, and her ruddy and full lips are gently pursed without words. What did Yin Beicheng do last night? She really didn't know, but she also understood that it was not with Nanhe. It's one thing to know, but it's another to Yin Beicheng not to mention it. Yin Beicheng didn't understand what Mo Shanghua thought. Seeing that she didn't speak, he thought she was nervous and said, "But they are all paper tigers. What can I fear?" The frown on the street is slightly frowning. One face is puzzled. "Is the word fear written on my face?" Yin Beicheng suddenly laughed. "I forgot. How could you be afraid? You haven't been back to the palace for decades. Don't be so scared that your legs are weak." Mo Shanghua has a little resentment against Yin Beicheng in her heart. She can't help but excite him. Yin Beicheng's black and white eyes sank a little, and the corners of his lips sneered. "I've never been afraid." Speaking, he can't help holding the soft hand of Mo Shanghua in the palm of his hand. The palm of his hand slowly closed and his eyes fixed on her. "No matter what happens, I will protect you." There are those who have added to his and his mother's pain. He must be 100 times 1,000 times. Mo Shanghua didn't expect that her careless words touched the most important part of Yin Beicheng's heart. She could not help holding his hand and pursing her red lips. For a long time, she just gently mm. She has never entrusted her heart to a man like this, and she is still not confident. Yin North City heart is more clear. Also just clenched her hand, didn't say anything. Sooner or later, he will tell her that he is worthy of her wholehearted trust. This return to the palace is not only Yin Beicheng's first return in his own capacity since he left the imperial city more than 10 years ago, but also his first meeting with Mo Shanghua after his big wedding, so it's more ceremonious. When they met the emperor, they were obedient and didn't even raise their heads. And Baorong Emperor seems to have long forgotten the earth-shaking things that Mo Shanghua had done in the imperial city and didn't care about him, as if she was just a tiny piece of sand. Instead, Yinbei City was left alone by Emperor Baorong, and Mo Shanghua went to the queen's residence. Lu Qianqian guessed that the flower party in the street would come to the queen to say hello, so he went out of his way and came here early. It's meaningless. I just want to verify some words. When she left Yuzhou that year, she heard that the face of Mo Shanghua was better. She said that she was not ill that day. She could not see each other with her own eyes, and she could not see each other yesterday. She sent the boy who saw him away again, naturally curious. After waiting for a long time, it was not easy to see Mo Shanghua enter the palace slowly after the palace people's report. Even if she hung her head, she still showed half of her beautiful face and her white and smooth skin. Then she was shocked, and her fingers immediately clenched. To the queen-line salute, after being given a seat, Mo Shanghua just slightly looked up. This just caught a glimpse of sitting in the opposite Lu Qianqian. Their eyes met in an instant. The flowers on the street are quite the same, and their faces are normal, although a little surprised, but also not unexpected. And Lu Qianqian's appearance is no different from the one she remembers. And Lu Qianqian's face changed in an instant, full of shock and consternation, which could not be covered up at all. How is it possible? How is it possible? How is it possible to recover without a trace? Moreover, today's flowers on the street seem to be more beautiful than before. In the past, her skin was never as delicate as it is now, and even less so now. At that time, Emo Shanghua was just an ordinary girl, most of whom were more beautiful than others. But now she seems to be a different person. The gorgeous and bright pearl green, the cool and indifferent eyebrows and eyes, let her original appearance also mention 10, is dignified and elegant. Strangers do not close. Miss Lu is here, too. Emo Shanghua didn't miss Lu Qianqian's wonderful expression, but her heart suddenly became excited and said, Miss Lu, but what's on my face? Scar, or was something Lu Qianqian, this just reaction come over. Slender fingernail deeply pierced in a palm, forced to endure in the heart of the mountains and rivers of jealousy. Stand up. She maintained the bearing of her daughter with a dignified posture and went up to Huafu. But I didn't expect my sister to come today, and I haven't seen her for a long time. I'm a little excited. The stranger glanced coldly and said in a cool voice, Miss Lu, how can you call your sister in front of the Empress? In this way, don't you regard the palace rules as nothing? Lu Qianqian's face suddenly turned white. She knelt down in a hurry and looked at the queen with tears in her eyes. Empress, my courtesan have no such intention. My courtesan just haven't seen my sister for a long time. I miss her in my heart. Miss you? A person who once occupied his own identity for more than 10 years, who can really have some kind of family affection. The Empress has been in the palace for so many years. She has a clear idea of Lu Qianqian's means, but she just doesn't know what to do. However, the oral things, as long as you really respect them in your heart, and you are all younger generation, you don't have to be so restrained here in this palace. Yin Moli's mother died early and was taken up by the queen. Naturally, Lu Qianqian's relationship with Yin Moli is clear. Therefore, she will always maintain one or two. Emo Shanghua also knows their relationship. Only a faint smile, not pursuing. She didn't think she was so plump that even the queen could offend. When the queen saw that the flower on the street was so knowledgeable and uplifting, she could not help but smile with satisfaction. Then she asked Lu Qianqian, who was just as curious as Lu Qianqian, how can your face recover so well? It must be a woman's curiosity that the scars that were so terrible at the beginning are now recovered. The queen finally asked what she thought in her heart. Lu Qianqian could not help leaning forward slightly. She was also anxious and curious. When she left Yuzhou, she did not know how many precious ointments she used to recover the scratch on her face. Now Emo Shanghua is not only completely recovered, but also more beautiful than before. How could she not be jealous? Emo Shanghua's expression remained unchanged, and he spoke blandly. Maybe it's God's protection. In addition, there is no other word, obviously not prepared to let the two of them know. But Lu Qianqian didn't believe it at all. She couldn't help asking, my sister is joking. I think you must have met some treasure and a good doctor on your side. That's how you can recover. Empress such as this year old heard these words, immediately in the heart slightly itch, also slightly looked forward to the flowers. But frowning, he looked at Lu Qianqian with disapproval. The best beauty medicine in the world is in the palace. How can I get it? After a pause, her eyes flashed, and her tone was quite meaningful. What could such a magical thing be if it wasn't for God's pity and protection? Everyone knows why she was disfigured at the beginning, but now she says it's God's protection that can restore her appearance. It's like beating Lu Qianqian's face. Lu Qian's delicate cheek was slightly stiff, and she said, what my sister said is, this is two people's business. Don't want an empress, but at this time, wrung eyebrow. After a moment's silence, she said abruptly, since you've come back today, I've met you. You should go back to Yuxiangfu to have a look. It's your mother's home anyway. This time, it's my turn to be in a bad mood. The Empress's words are clearly against her good intentions. Lu Qianqian saw that the Empress was leaning towards herself and held the handkerchief tightly all the time. Then she relaxed and said happily, it's just right. My elder sister doesn't know that I stay in the house all day long, and I don't even have a person who can speak his own words. Now my elder sister comes back, and she happens to be my companion. Sister, farewell to you, Joe. I've been missing you for a long time. I wish you were dead. Mo Shanghua knows Lu Qianqian's hypocritical mouth most clearly. There's a bit of irony in her eyes, and the corners of her lips are gently provoked. If that's true, it's time for me to leave everything in the house and go to chat with my sister. Lu Qianbei bit her lip lightly, and her eyes were full of grievances. Sister, don't get me wrong. I just miss my sister so much that I forgot that there's so many things in her house. Mo Shanghua's eyes were clear and fixed on her. The look in her eyes was not clear. It's okay. If you miss it, you can come to my house as a guest. I can do anything, of course. Lu Qianqian immediately replied with a smile, but turned to frown again. It's just that my sister. After all, I've been under my father's knee for many years, but now I haven't seen him for a year. I think my father is missing him. The Empress saw this, and even opened her mouth. You should be filial. Two people you a word, I a sentence. Clearly all know the tangle of Mo Shanghua and Lu Bohan, but they all pretend to know the appearance, repeatedly remind. However, Mo Shanghua got married as a concubine in the Prime Minister's mansion, and there was no room for her to refute. The flower on the street looked at Lu Qianqian with a smile and said deliberately, the Empress has mentioned it once before. Why should my sister mention it again? Lu Qianqian's lips are stiff, some embarrassed don't pass an eye, but it just happens to be here. If my sister doesn't like it, I won't say it. The last sentence, once again, changed the world, and it became more and more unfilial. However, Mo Shanghua doesn't care about filial piety and doesn't want to argue more about it. The corner of her lips was slightly raised, and the bottom of her eyes was slightly mocked. This kind of vision, only to see the heart of Lu Qian inexplicably restless up, hanging in the side of the slender hand slightly bent up. The Empress at the top of the picture looks unhappy. It's useless. However, such a confrontation risks a disadvantage. I'm tired. Please kneel down. The Queen's body tilted to the side of the armchair with gilt phoenix pattern, and her eyes were tired. Mo Shanghua almost immediately stood up to salute the Queen and kneel down. When Lu Qianqian slowly got up, she was ready to leave. But the standard of etiquette is not wrong, but it's faster, and it's not wrong at all. In this way, it seems that Lu Qianqian is neglecting. She clenched her teeth and saluted busily. When she stood up, the flowers on the street had already gone out of the hall. She still had a few words not to say with Mo Shanghua, so she hastened to catch up, but did not expect, just went out and ran into such a scene. Only a few meters away, Mo Shanghua calms down and talks with Yin Moli. I don't know what to say. Yin Moli lips slightly smile, seems to be in a good mood, two sleeves of the black robe because of the strong wind blowing drum. The plain hand in her sleeve immediately clenched tightly, and the envious color at the bottom of her eyes turned. However, she quickly adjusted, stepped forward, extremely elegant salute, clear and beautiful face with a gentle smile. Qianqian, please say hello to King Ling. And only Mu Light has not yet had time to sweep over. The flowers on the street will look over, lips light pick. Originally, I stand so secret, easy to let people find not. Lu Qianqian's half-squatted body was frozen in the same place again. It wasn't when he got up. It wasn't when he didn't get up. His hands were almost trembling. The servant girl behind her, Wu Yu, said quickly, our young lady always wants to see each other one by one. My sister's usual rules must be excellent. That servant girl, words haven't finished. Mo Shangflower then directly interrupted her words. Lu Qianqian is a stiff. The body has been squatting slightly numb. The body gently trembled. Eyes slightly wet. Sister, charming Jade, just want to explain for me. She is not intentional. Sister want to punish me. Such a pitiful look. A man will feel pity when he sees it. Sure enough, Yinamo immediately opened his mouth and made it through. But little things, Miss Lu doesn't have to worry. Let's get up first. Charming Jade hurried to help Lu Qian and did not dare to delay. Qinya follows Immerse. When she enters the palace, she is holding her breath all the way. At the moment, she is talking to the charming Jade Capital. Seeing Yin Moli like this, she can't bear it. Princess. Qinya gathered around the flowers in the street, whispering and stopping. Immerse shook her head gently, then looked at Yin Moli. Your Highness said that it is right. In fact, I don't mean anything else, but I can't help talking when I see that Miss Lu is very good at mathematics, but the girl around me is so good. On the surface, although Lu Qianqian was let go, there was no other meaning. Lu Qianqian awkwardness simply opened the topic. I haven't seen your Highness for a long time. I don't know if your Highness is to come with the Queen to say hello. Yin Moli was brought up by the Empress. It's natural that he should come to greet the Empress. Yin Moli nodded slightly and said with a faint smile, Why did you come out with Princess Yu? My sister and I just happened to meet. Maybe God wants us to meet earlier. Lu Qianqian lips slightly pursed, smile of soft and shy. It's like they haven't seen each other next year. The flower on the street couldn't listen to her, so she retreated quietly and said, Your Highness, since you have a good time with Miss Lu, I won't accompany you. With that, he turned around and left without hesitation. Lu Qianqian naturally wants to go away quickly so that she can get along with Yin Moli more. After all, for the sake of his plan, Yin Moli seldom contacts with her outside. Yin Moli see this. Nature is not easy to say anything, only slightly nodded. Is the lore back? The flowers on the street step forward and ask in a low voice. Although I've been waiting outside the hall just now, I haven't seen the little guy around the king come to reply. Although the queen has been out of the work, but Qinya still dare, not presumptuous, speak in a low voice, careful tight. I'm afraid that if I make a mistake, I'll get into trouble. Immerse didn't notice Qinya's tension, but he didn't mention it. He just nodded. Let's go to the palace gate first. This is a palace after all. It's good for Qinya to be careful. On the other side of Yanbei City, the emperor wanted to keep him more. As for whether it's the drama of father-son affection or more reprimand, it's not clear. Just think of a corner then bumped into just still in the heart-belly Fei of Yin North City. He's still like that. He is neither warm nor angry, but he is not very steady and mature. He is a dandy of a noble family. However, only the flowers on the street can understand the haze under his eyes. Immerse had not opened his mouth, so he turned and walked in front of him. Immerse thinks that he may have some scruples, so he follows him silently. When she got to the carriage and drove away from the palace, she broke the silence with Baorong Emperor's suspicious mind. This possibility is naturally great. Yin Beiqing didn't answer. His thin lips were tightly closed, and his whole body was filled with the coldness of strangers. The flower on the street frowned and said again, What's the situation like? Have you been reprimanded? But even so, Yin Beiqing's character should not be like this. There was another silence, and only the sound of wooden wheels grinding on the ground could be heard in the carriage. For a long time, Yin Beiqing closed his eyes slightly and vomited out a mouthful of turbid qi. Thinking of Baorongdi's cold and emotionless eyes, and his disgust when his eyes touched the red birthmark on his face, his depression became more and more heavy. He thought about how it would be like to see Emperor Baorong again as King Yu, but when he saw it, there was still a trace of reluctance in his heart. He thought that Baorongdi might still play with his hypocrisy, but he even disdained disguise as if he were his disgrace. A reprimand made him quit in a hurry. Just like that, he will not be able to use his kindness anymore. Thinking of this, the gloom in his eyes was covered. He pulled his lips and said, It's just that you're talking with Yin Moli. It's not smooth in my heart. After that, he grabbed the soft hand of Immerse and put it on his chest. He said, I warn you that I can't speak to him more than 3 sentences in the future. Otherwise, I will turn over. No more than 3 sentences? Please say hello and say goodbye. In this way, you can only say 1 word. Even she can, but Yin Moli can't say nothing. Doesn't she respond at all? Mo Shanghua has not yet thought about the authenticity of his words. He was attracted by the sentence, no more than 3 sentences. A little thought made her laugh and cry. What kind of overlord clause are you talking about? The corner of the flower's lips on the street tilted up slightly and said with a smile, if others say that I don't know the etiquette and respect the royal family, Yin North City face does not change color, rightfully and boldly of mouth, that then calculate on my head. As he spoke, his palms tightened a little. Mo Shanghua's eyes are dim. Although it's just a little movement, maybe even he doesn't realize it, she catches it acutely, including a touch of gray at the bottom of his eyes. With a slight smile on her lips, she hesitated and leaned forward. She nestled in Yin Beiqing's arms and said in a soft voice, okay, I'll listen to you. Yin North City didn't speak, tightly embrace her shoulder, mouth bottom dark color, slightly slow. And Lu Qian sighed. Without the existence of Mo Shanghua, she is in a good mood. Her lips are smiling, and her eyes are watery. She looks at Yin Moli. Your Highness, I haven't seen you for a long time, but recently things are busy. You should pay attention to rest. After a pause, she took a sachet from her hand and said with a smile, Your Highness, this thing has calming effect. You, Miss Lu. Yin Moli obviously did not have the patience to listen to Lu Qianqian's words. He had no expression on his face. I'm afraid my mother has been waiting for a long time. I'm not suitable to stay in this hall for a long time. All of Lu Qian's soft shyness froze at the moment, and her eyes darkened. After a while, she forced herself to bow and salute, Your Highness. If it's just so good, but Yin Mo Li's face is gentle and respectful, but he is cold to Lu Qianqian. Only in front of people can he show a little smile. Think of here, Lu Qian heart is a burst of bitterness, but never thought more heart is still behind. When Yin Mo Li passed her, he didn't forget to lower his voice and said coldly, Remember your identity. Just a word, let Lu Qian, such as falling eyes seller, facial expression almost out of control. Enchanting Jade sees this, and the heart ruthlessly jumped to remind of busy week. Young lady, we want to go out palace? After a long time, Lu Qianqian nodded, put his hand on her arm, and walked forward. Palm can't help but slightly force, slender nails stab into the tender meat on the arm of Charming Jade. Charm Jade, already used to, but still pain pale, but a voice also dare not send out, carefully helped her go. At this time, Lu Qian's brain cannot help but across some of her heart and lung pain picture. In the dark chamber, she knelt on the cold ground in black, and in front of her was Yin Moli. In private, Yin Moli is cold and fierce. He even disdains to give her a handout in his eyes. He just says coldly, the plan has already started. From tomorrow on, you'll be the Prime Minister Qianqian. She was full of excitement. She thought, so she finally has a matching identity to marry him. But did not expect, and then in exchange for Yin Mo Li did not have the slightest emotional ups and downs of a word. In order to avoid suspicion, you should not have too close contact with me outside in the future. You must grasp the right prime minister and make good use of his guilt. Nothing else. She couldn't help looking up and asking, When will your highness marry me? Her full face of hope, but only in exchange for him a cold to the extreme, even slightly ironic sentence. The palace to marry the prime minister's loss for many years is the real daughter, not you. Her heart was stabbed, pain of her almost breathless, but also can only bow light answer, yes. The thought of this scene and all that is happening now makes her heart ache. However, she is not reconciled after all, still thinking that after she married Yin Moli, she will turn the tide. However, Yin Moli is fickle after all, which will only make her more painful and heartbroken in the future. Are you going back to the Prime Minister's house? Yin Beicheng suddenly heard Mo Shanghua's words. His brows tightened and his eyes disapproved. That place, I think you still don't want to go back. I'll try my best not to let those people have a chance to break their mouths. Seeing that he was so worried, the flower on the street gave him a reassuring look and said, What can I do? As the queen said personally, If I really don't go, it will be a blow to the queen's face, and the queen will be angry. In her present status, she is not qualified to face the queen. Yin Beiqing's eyebrows were tightly locked, and the folds between his eyebrows could almost kill a fly. He was clear about the details of the flowers on the street, but how could he let her jump into the fire pit alone? No, if so, I'll go with you. Sitting on one side of the South Crane, at the moment can't help pulling the lip, said, Your Highness will be energetic again, then all this way of play is not in vain. Said, she endured the disgust in the heart, to the stranger flower way. With her means, how can be bullied? She fought with Imo Shanghua secretly for many times. How could she not know her means? Although she had to stop now, she still didn't have a good face for Imo Shanghua and didn't even bother to cover it up. Yin Beiqing won't feel for her anymore. They all knew how disgusted she was with the flowers on the street. There was no need for her to disguise. Yin Beiqing's eyes sank, and his knife-like eyes fell on Nanhee's face. Although there are no words, the meaning is obvious. South Crane turned his head, different from his eyes, red lips pursed into a straight line. Imo Shanghua is not a narrow-minded person. Knowing that what Nanhee said is right, he said, What she said is reasonable. I'll see. You'd better play your role. The South Crane turns his head to see the flowers on the street, and his eyes are surprised. Imo Shanghua just looked at her with a light look. I'm just focusing on the overall situation. After a pause, she said, Just like your mood, it's not that you have forgotten your worries. The South Crane Mao color complex looked at her one eye, silent for a long time, just rational explanation. The method that the Lord thinks is to fight to oneself wrong place, just, can Empress is unusual. You originally have no mother imperial concubine protection. At this time, should not offend Empress. Imo Shanghua gently nodded, eyes clear also from the perspective of the overall situation. South Crane said, Well, besides, I am not half identity. Liu Bohan is not good. Really do something to me, but to involve his official voice. When it comes to the back, especially when the sentence half identity is not available, the flowers on the street cannot help but hook their lips, full of ridicule. At the beginning, she married as a concubine in the Prime Minister's mansion. I think it's ironic. However, since Liu Bohan didn't kill her at that time, now he doesn't want to make half a profit on her. Yin Beiqing pondered for a while, as if thinking about something. A moment later, just raised his head, slightly nodded, I'll send more people to follow you. At the moment, Nanhee has recovered his mind. Hearing Imo Shanghua say so, he can't help but say, even if she goes alone, she will never have anything to do. When talking, Yin Beiqing's eyes changed, and he was no longer proud and charming, which was the same as other people. Just deep in the eyes, in the end is hiding integral, unwilling, a bit of resentment. If not, she will not repeatedly contradict. Imo Shanghua also saw her knife mouth at the moment, and then gave her a little smile, with a cold voice. I will not be like you in general, to their grievances. To be wronged by a word is like a dull hammer, which smashes the disguise of uneasiness and resentment in her heart and tears open the real idea in her heart. Imo Shanghua sees this, but just smiles. Without saying more, she gets up and pulls Yin Beiqing out. The three of them discussed it in Nana's bedroom. They had already rejected all the people, and there were special people guarding it secretly. It was very quiet around. Imo Shanghua turned to Yin Beiqing and said, Nanhee is not a mediocre person. It would be your great fortune if she could wake up completely and stop indulging in the inner house. Yin Beiqing naturally understood this truth. If not, he would never have spared him because of the fact that Nanha had dared to lay hands on Imo Shanghua several times before. However, he was quite surprised by the situation today. She's been with me for years, just grateful to me. Yin Beiqing thought about it carefully, and then he said seriously, However, I'm quite surprised by her performance today. But the flower on the street began to smile. The corner of her lip gently tilted up and said with a smile, She must be very angry. She can't fight me, and she can't turn a face with you, so she just turned a blind eye. How do you know what she thinks? Yin Beicheng didn't believe it, but asked. In fact, Mo Shanghua's guess is not half reasonable. She is very confident in her own statement, and she shakes her head with a smile in a very good mood. Women's mind, Your Highness, don't ask, don't guess. Seeing the rare smile of the flowers in the street, Yin Beicheng's cold face also had a smile. He pretended to be proud and said, don't guess, you. A word did not finish. Then the flowers suddenly strode out, turned to face him, half smile on the face, even a little more condensation. Yin Beicheng was stunned. Before he could react, he heard Mo Shanghua speak coldly. Since Your Highness doesn't want to go back to the Prime Minister's residence with me, I will go back myself. Say, we'll brush away. Before leaving, don't forget to use the mouth, quietly said, play, do the whole set. Then he turned and left. Yin Beicheng was just talking with Mo Shanghua. Her eyes were full of her, but she didn't notice that they were standing in the courtyard now, and the servant girl and the little fellow were far ahead. Although dare not approach, but the vision also saw with their side of the movement. Mo Shanghua's action just now, although there's no mistake, but obviously deliberately choked him. Yin Beicheng couldn't laugh or cry. She also learned to wait for revenge. Although he thought so, he had to look very angry and kicked a vase. I've done a lot of things since I was near Japan, and I've been reprimanded by my father. How dare you come here and find me unhappy? I tell you, I will never go. Mo Shanghua has not gone far. Listening to his words, will not head, only quietly look at Aunt Zhang's expression not far away. Although she looked at Yin Beicheng for a long time, her eyes were always on Yin Beicheng, who was in a hurry and in a bad mood, and her eyes turned a few times. Mo Shanghua sneers at her heart. She doesn't show any on her face. She walks forward coldly. Qinya heard them from afar, and hurriedly went forward with a worried face. Princess, are you okay? The Lord was in the house just now. How about you? Mo Shanghua is very relieved in her heart, but her face is deliberately cold. When she got back to her bedroom, she said coldly, I'm not happy about being scolded by my father. He's just making excuses for going to the brothel restaurant. I have nothing to say with him. Just go by myself. Aunt Zhang stood listening and turned her eyes. She couldn't help saying, the Lord has just returned to Beijing. Is it difficult that he was reprimanded by His Majesty in the palace today? Mo Shanghua didn't bring Aunt Zhang into the palace today. She was bored in the palace. Now she heard the news, so she was busy asking. The flower on the street seemed to notice what he had said, a little annoyed and unnatural. A moment later, she said with a cold face, what I said to you before, Aunt Zhang forgot so soon. Aunt Zhang said with a smile, yes, I'm talkative. But he said in his heart, in the end, a young man will always show his flaws. And she had guessed that the princess was just a tiger in paper. Even if the king's heart can't be won over, he can only bluff to deal with them. Thinking of this, she was suddenly elated. Qinya looked at Aunt Zhang's appearance just now. Then she was disgusted and said, you go out first. Aunt Zhang was in a good mood, but she didn't say much about it. She walked out neatly. As soon as Aunt Zhang went out, Qinya came forward again and asked nervously, Princess, what's the matter? Is the Lord really angry? After Mo Shanghua came back from the palace, she only sat in her room for a while, then went to Yin Beicheng, who was resting at the South Crane, and said that she would discuss how to return to the Prime Minister's residence in a few days, but also rejected everyone. No one knew what had happened. However, they were so angry that she was really worried. Originally, the prince was half-hearted. One moment, Mrs. Nan and the other came to pester the princess. It was really exasperating and helpless. Never thought. Just now, also a face of anger did not disappear on the flower. Now in front of her, lips suddenly hook, face smile. Qinya done when the mind understand, deeply exhaled a breath. Fortunately, just a white worry. It seems that this time it's acting again. However, she turned to think about it, but immediately worried. But just now, the Lord said he wanted you to go back alone. She frowned and walked in the room. That Miss Lu is not a good friend. She used to hurt you so much. How can you go back by yourself? Mo Shanghua's entanglement with Lu Qianqian has long been known by Qinya, and now she is more and more worried. Mo Shanghua rubs her eyebrows and pulls Qinya back, but says, she has never been cheap here. Don't worry, I can handle it. Qinya thought of Lu Qianqian's angry but forbearing face, and her heart fell a little. Seeing this, she immediately sent her out to prepare some things, so that she would not think too much when she was free. She is not nervous yet, but she does harm Qinya and doesn't listen to anxiety. Lu Qian is not happy in the heart, is to return to the right prime minister's house, is also a bad mood appearance. As a result, in the evening meal, they all look listless and don't eat much. Lu Qianqian is Lu Bohan's lost treasure. Now, when she sees something wrong with her, she puts down her bowl and chopsticks. Qianqian, what's the matter with you today? How are you so depressed? Lu Qianqian saw this, but just shook his head, squeezed out a smile. Just today's poor appetite. Nothing, father, don't worry. Having said that, the reluctance is really worrying. Lu Bohan looks at the charming jade. She had been told in private for a long time. At the moment, Lu Bohan looked at herself and hesitated for a moment. Yes, it was the empress who called the young lady into the palace to talk today. She happened to meet Princess Yu. She was sincere, but Princess Yu embarrassed her everywhere, regardless of her friendship. She seems to be such a character. When she talks about such things, she looks submissive with her head down. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian turned around and took a deep look at the charming jade from the angle that Lu Bohan couldn't see. He said angrily, "Charming jade, don't talk nonsense." After biting her lips, she pinched herself secretly, and her face was a little angry. "Master, I dare not cheat you with all my life today. Do you know that from the first day, when Princess Yu came back, the young lady quietly sent people to visit her, but she was insulted and framed again. Nowadays, many people in the city are saying that the young lady is hypocritical, and that one by one she speaks ill. That's ridiculous." Lu Bohan's face turned red with anger, and he patted the table hard, shaking with the food. The anger in the house also followed to suppress down. The servant girls and boys even dare not breathe in the atmosphere. Lu Qianqian, who is usually gentle and weak, frowned at the moment and scolded. "Charming jade, don't say any more." Charming jade heart is a loose, the face installed, not reconciled appearance, unwilling to shut up. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian quickly got up to Lu Bohan, sighed, and said in a warm voice, "Father, what Charming Jade said is not all true. Now that my sister is a princess, she knows more about rules than I do. How can she care with me at will?" After a pause, she said again, "Father, it's the daughter who is not good and makes you angry. But, sister, she's going to visit her in the mansion in a few days. Don't be angry with her." Seemingly comforting words are like adding fuel to the fire. Lu Bohan's face was even more ugly and said in a deep voice, "She's not your sister." At the thought of this, he became more and more angry. "I don't have this daughter, and the prime minister doesn't welcome her. Princess Yu." Lu Qianqian sees this. Mount any eye done when filled with tears. Voice took cry cavity. "Is the daughter is not good. Will only let the father angry. If the gas bad body. The daughter is 10,000 dead, also not enough atonement." She was thin, and now her body was shaking slightly, which made Lu Bohan feel sorry. He hastily slowed down his voice and comforted Wen Sheng. "It's not your fault. It's Dad's bad. He was angry in front of you again. You're not in good health. Don't cry." Lu Qianqian effort to curl his mouth and smile, still have tears on his face. That father promised his daughter, after a few days sister back, "You must not be difficult for her." Lu Bohan's face turned black again. "You don't have to speak for her. She is so comfortable now that she even forgot her identity. She doesn't remember it, but I remember it. I remember that she was a fake, cheated herself of her love for more than 10 years, and even did such things as killing her mother. When he thought about it, he wished he could strangle her." Lu Qianqian was very happy, but he looked like he wanted to cry. "Father, although my sister is a princess now, she married as your daughter and has been filial to you for many years. Even if you don't want to see her, you can see the face of the Empress. In other words, it is to mention old things again, and it is to mention the Queen intentionally, which will only make Liu Bohan more depressed and angry. Sure enough, Liu Bohan's face was dark and pondered for a long time before he gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, okay, okay." She was forced by the Queen. Well, if she wants to, I'll do what she wants. Mo Shanghua took a few days to go to Yuxiangfu on the pretext of many things in the mansion. It's not that she is timid, but she doesn't know how to deal with Liu Bohan. After all, it was the original owner's biological father, and the love of the past decades was not adulterated. In the final analysis, all this is because today's Liu Qianqian, this fake. But he shouldn't be so unfeeling. He didn't want to give her half a living. Well, it depends. The carriage slowly stopped in front of the main gate of the Prime Minister's mansion, and Mo Shanghua stepped on the wood and stepped off the carriage. However, the Prime Minister's mansion is as graceful as ever, but it is also very cold. When the daughter of another family comes back to the house, they're all welcomed. What's more, she's a daughter married to a royal family as a princess. It's good for others to welcome her happily without beating gongs and drums. But now, in front of the Prime Minister's house, there is no servant girl waiting. Mo Shanghua Mao Guang suddenly cool, raise a hand to press the place of own heart. She thought that the original owner had already died away, but she had some fluctuation after such a long time. It's a kind of unspeakable grief, sadness. Qinya looked from left to right. Seeing that no one paid any attention, she could not help but turn her lips. The maidservant married a girl in her hometown and went home to visit her relatives. Everyone in her family wanted to come out to meet her. The flowers on the street closed their eyes slightly. After a while, they opened their eyes again. The inside of their eyes was clear and bright. Since no one was interested, she went in by herself. No one in this house dares to bully her or humiliate her. Thinking of this, she strode toward the front door of the Prime Minister's residence. The gatekeeper had already seen the flower on the street and others. Now he was looking at it. He was shocked to see the flower's face. This how to return a responsibility. The young lady isn't to ruin appearance. Yes, it's impossible. Two small C's stare big eyes to see again see. Lung is didn't see what so however. If it was his young lady, the fake, she would have been destroyed long ago. They have all seen such a tragic degree. Normal people would be terrified when they saw it. How could it be recovered? As two peas, the appearance of the person before him is clear. See you. What the hell? A young man bravely stepped forward. Here, miss, who are you? The flower on the street glanced at them lightly. Qinya immediately stepped forward and said, "This is our princess Yu, going back and forth to visit her parents." "How can it be?" The boy cried out in surprise. "The flowers on the street, don't pay attention to it. They walk in." The young man responded and quickly came forward to stop him. He was shocked at the bottom of his heart and said, "Little no, princess. The master has told you that if you are a common girl, you should enter the palace through the small gate." The flower on the street steps slightly, the complexion condenses down. As expected, Liu Bohan still hated her. If it wasn't for her royal face, I'm afraid she wouldn't even be allowed to enter. Qinya has been following Mo Shanghua for a long time. She immediately reacts and scolds with a cool face. Bold, the princess is a royal family, just like the Prime Minister's office. She has the right to let the royal family into the small gate. Does she not despise the royal family? So big a hat buttoned down, the small C is immediately miserable, quickly knelt down. Small dare not, you please come in." Mo Shanghua looks back and nods to Qinya. Qinya winks at her with a proud face. They just enter the mansion. Just now, the little fellow did not dare to neglect him anymore. He followed the way. This Prime Minister is no longer the home of Mo Shanghua. Therefore, Mo Shanghua's eyes did not look at the superfluous place. And wait until the main hall. Mo Shanghua finally saw Liu Bohan. Liu Bohan is nearly 50 years old. He has white hair on his temples. He is gentle and elegant in appearance, and has excellent spirit. However, as soon as he saw the flower on the street, his face collapsed completely. He sat in the main position without saying a word, holding a cup of tea, as if he didn't see the flower on the street. As soon as Lu Qian arrived at the gate, he saw such a state. His steps stopped immediately, and he simply hid at the gate and waited to see the play. The flower ear power on the street is very good. Lu Qianqian's footstep has already passed in her ear, and the corner of her lips suddenly gently hooks. Just want to see a joke, so might as well like her. This idea passed in the heart once again, and then Immo Shanghua paced and sat down on the other side of the theme with elegant and generous steps. Lu Bohan's face suddenly pulled down and yelled in a deep voice, "Who allowed you to sit down, but you still sit with me? Where have you lost all your rules?" On this aspect, in his impression of Immo Shanghua, he was still obedient and clever before the accident. Yes, she has learned the rules. She must have done it on purpose now. What she did was to hit him in the face. Thinking of this, Lu Bohan was even more angry and almost roared out, "Get out of here!" He was full of anger, and because of the reason that the stranger lowered his head, he couldn't see her face clearly, but he didn't respond very much. Immo Shanghua didn't look at him at all. She took the teacup and said without raising her head, "I'm Princess you now. I'm a royal family. Why should I salute you? It's right to sit here." After a pause, she glanced up at Lu Bohan and said, "Why? Should I kneel down and wait for the Prime Minister to reprimand? If it goes out." She lengthened the ending, but did not go on. Lu Bohan naturally knows what she means, but he just can't calm down in front of the flower's face. Moreover, Immo Shanghua is his daughter in name after all, and he is even less likely to lose face in front of her. Therefore, he immediately sneered and said, "That's it. I'm your father. Unfilial is the most important thing. Except that you don't want to be who you are, you can have a try. I gave you everything. If I hadn't let you go, you would have lived to this day." Immo Shanghua raised her eyes and looked at Lu Bohan quietly. Although there is anger on the face, calm is still there, and the conditioning is very clear. It's not a straw bag. Unfortunately, he is still a confused and heartless man. However, before she opened her mouth, Lu Bohan's face had changed. He looked at the flower on the street in shock. It was so white and delicate that there was no flaw on his cheek. After a while, he couldn't get back to God, and even his anger could go down. In addition to shock, this face brought him more when she was the first lady in the Prime Minister's palace. However, when he thought of this, he would think of her killing her mother together. Just a little nostalgia rose in his heart, and all that was left was hatred. The corner of the flower's lips on the street was slightly raised, and there was a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. "My Royal Highness, you and I were married by His Highness in person, but you said that everything I had was given by you, and you didn't pay attention to it?" Lu Bohan was already angry, but now he didn't expect that Immo Shanghua had become such a smart person. When he was angry, he was short of words, and he was ashamed. "How dare you say that? If it comes to Emperor Baorong's ears, it's hard to explain that he is the Prime Minister. The court's crafty and sycophant will certainly seize the opportunity to pull him down. This little bastard, it's clear that he has completely changed his face and is determined to fight against him." Lu Qianqian, who has been hiding at the door, doesn't see the good play in her imagination. Instead, she sees Lu Bohan choked and speechless. She scolds in her heart and walks out. Although a peer in time, but her pace is still elegant. Eyes smile, sweep to the house, as if just arrived in general. "Hello, Dad." She first saluted Lu Bohan, then turned her head and looked at the flowers on the street. Before we could salute, the flower on the street spoke earlier. "Isn't Miss Lu at the door? How did you come in now?" His voice was flat, as if he were just saying something very common. However, it is to let Lu Qian Jiao good face suddenly stiff down. Damn, this bitch really has the ability to drive her crazy. What makes her more headache is that Lu Bohan's eyes also sweep over because of the words of flowers on the street, and the remaining anger on her face does not disappear. Lu Qian secretly pinched the silk handkerchief in his hand, but he was at a loss on his face. What's elder sister talking about? While speaking, he bumped her arm against the jade. When she saw this, she lowered her head and said, "As soon as our young lady arrived in the hall, the princess must have been mistaken." Lu Qian nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Today, when my sister comes, there are more servant girls waiting outside. It must be my sister's mistake." Mo Shanghua raised her eyes and stared at her without smiling. Her red lips said softly, "Oh, you say it is." Lu Qianqian becomes more and more embarrassed. Instead of talking to the stranger, he turns to Lu Bohan with a concerned face. "Dad, what's the matter? Why is your face so ugly? Go and pour a cup of tea." Charming Jade. Enchanting Jade hurriedly went forward to change a cup of hot tea. Lu Qianqian carefully held up. "Father, you first drink a cup of tea. Have a good rest." Lu Bohan was obviously very helpful, and his complexion gradually eased a lot. Mo Shanghua looks at the father's kindness and daughter's filial piety in front of her eyes, and her eyes are suddenly dyed with the color of ridicule. "My father is very kind." She lifted her red lips and sneered. Lu Bohan's just relaxed face darkened again. "I don't have your daughter. Don't call me father." "Oh." Mo Shanghua nodded, lips suddenly gently hook up, smiling. Lu Xiang. It is clear that Lu Bohan's mind is obeyed, but his heart is unspeakable, so he takes a big sip of tea. Mo Shanghua looks at Lu Bohan, so angry, but just takes her helpless appearance. The mood is more smooth. Lu Qianqian naturally can't see the flowers on the streets so proud. If not identity does not allow, she would have rushed up to tear her face. However, even if it can't be like this, she will never let the flowers live better. Thinking of this, she turned to look at Lu Bohan and said, "Father, now my sister has come back. In a few days, it will be my mother's birthday again. Let my sister go to worship with me." After a pause, she continued, "Mother's birthday is in the dark, and it conflicts with the birthday of the Empress Dowager. It can't be publicized. Now, let my sister worship, and my mother will be comforted." Lu Bohan's face suddenly changed when he heard the speech. He suddenly stood up, and his teacup fell to the ground. "Son of a bitch." Lu Qian's face turned pale. Mo Shanghua looks at Lu Bohan as a clown, with a deeper smile on his lips and full of sarcasm. Lu Qianqian's scheming surprised her, but Lu Bohan's reaction eventually disgusted her. After her mother gave birth to me, Lu Bohan may not have loved her mother much, but he respected her like a guest. Now, she looks like this just because of his face. Lu Bohan was shamed by her existence because she sent killers to pursue her many times before. It's funny to see how he behaves now. Lu Bohan is on the head of gas, did not notice the appearance of flowers on the street. Otherwise, it will only be more furious. Now his face turned red and his forehead was blue. He pointed to Lu Qianqian with a shaking hand and said angrily, "Did you forget how your mother died? Now that you have asked for this, you want to show your mother that she still can't rest under the spring of spring." Lu Qianqian knelt down with her skirt in her hands, tears falling in her eyes, a delicate appearance of pear blossom with rain. "Father, daughter doesn't mean that. But, after all, my sister's also your daughter. That is, she has no blood relationship. In the eyes of outsiders, she is your daughter." She choked for a while and continued, "Whether it's you or me, our every move will fall in the eyes of outsiders. Now that my sister has come out of the cabinet, I don't want to mention the past. If my father can't carry it clearly, he will give a handle to others." She said in tears. Every sentence was sincere, all for their father and daughter, for the Prime Minister's consideration. Lu Bohan calmed down, but he was still angry and said coldly, "This is my official's family affair. Who dares to say more?" Mo Shanghua looked at it for a long time, and suddenly he began to smile. His face was an undisguised taunt. "Lu Xiangrua is not afraid of people's words. Why don't he even let me in?" Lu Bohan, the green veins on his forehead, jumped fiercely, and his face was full of anger. "Don't push your inch, let alone think that I really dare not do anything about you." "Oh." Mo Shanghua nodded, but there was no fear on her face, and she didn't care about the general. If you dare come. She obviously knows best how to make a person faint. Lu Bohun is in such a state at this time. His hand trembled, pointing to the flowers on the street, but he couldn't say a word for a long time. After all, Mo Shanghua's identity today, he really can't move. The emperor's relatives and nobles, even if they are the concubines of a prince who is not in favor, can't be moved easily. When he was angry, he walked away directly. From his steps, we can see how angry he was. Seeing that Lu Bohun was so angry, the flowers on the street felt much smoother in his heart. After all, Lu Bohun is related to her body. She can't do it. It's good to kill him like this. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian wiped the tears on his face. On his pale face, which was still stained with tears, he pulled out a reluctant smile. My father agreed. Don't be surprised, my sister. He just can't open his face. Mo Shanghua didn't even look at Lu Qianqian. She stood up and walked out. Then he said to a servant girl outside the door, lead the way to the ancestral temple. As for Lu Qian, she's tired of looking at the flowers on the street, and she has nothing new. It's a waste of time talking to her. Lu Qianqian, I'm not sure. At the moment, she realized Lu Bohun's anger. She broke her silver teeth and quickly followed up. The ancestral hall of the Prime Minister's residence is dedicated to the ancestors of the Lu family in all ages. They pay homage only to their own mother. At the moment, she took off her whole body spirit, knelt down devoutly and earnestly, and bowed respectfully 3 times. Since she has taken over the body, the mother of the original owner is also her mother, and she will surely avenge her. You all go out. Lu Qianqian followed closely into the ancestral hall and ordered others to quit. Then, like Mo Shanghua, he knelt down beside her and said in a soft voice, Mother, you must protect my sister and me and my father. He misses you very much. Then he would kowtow. Mo Shanghua suddenly stood up and grabbed her hand, which made her unable to kowtow. Although she was looking at the thin and weak, she was very energetic. Lu Qianqian had never practiced martial arts, and her body was also thin. She suddenly exhaled in pain and looked at her with tears in her eyes. Sister, what are you doing? Mo Shanghua took a look at the closed gate of the ancestral hall, and her lips filled with a smile of sarcasm. Do you deliberately take people away just to show me you play alone? After a pause, her eyes became cold, and she pulled Lu Qianqian up. You and Lu Bohun are not worthy of her blessing, let alone worshipping her, or... She deliberately lengthened her voice and mocked. No one in this ancestral hall is worthy of worship. Lu Qianqian was not surprised. She threw away the flower's hand and wiped the tears on her face. She said calmly, What about matching? What about not accompanying? The corner of her lips is smug, and she says with a smile, Like you, you're the most qualified person to worship. Now you're not qualified. The flower on the street was calm, without any ripple, and her red lips said coldly, Then you have to keep it. Don't show your horse's feet. After all, it's not easy to hold on to this great wealth. Lu Qianqian's face unchanged, smiling. You can rest assured, this Prime Minister's Dichu miss, I do, is very comfortable, will always do. Well, I got married in Feng Wang Wang. I was so rich. It's really fascinating to think about it. Mo Shanghua obviously didn't want to pay attention to her crazy dream. Her tone suddenly turned straight down. I only ask you one thing. Did you kill my mother? But Lu Qianqian seems to have recovered to the pure and kind Prime Minister's daughter, full of innocence. What's my sister talking about? Mother, didn't you do it? Mo Shanghua dislikes her hypocritical appearance most. She pulls her over directly, presses her backhand on the ground, and makes her kneel in front of the memorial tablet. I'll ask you again, you just say, did you kill people? Lu Qianqian completely did not expect that Mo Shanghua would directly press her here, and all the disguises were torn in an instant. She couldn't get away with it, so she held back her panic and said in a sharp voice, What do you want to do, bitch? I'm the Prime Minister's daughter. How dare you take me? Lu Bohun won't let you go. Yes, she must not dare. If she dares, She will have no chance to turn over this time. She's going to be buried with her. Thinking of this, she calmed down a lot and gradually controlled her emotions. Without frowning, he was not busy exerting his strength, but said, "If you are not afraid of provoking people and destroying your image of painstaking management, you will continue to shout." After a pause, her voice began to ring softly again. "By the way, didn't I tell you? I have plenty of means. I'll bring out all kinds of torture. If you don't tell me, I'll let you try one by one." How dare she? How dare she? Lu Qianqian has just stabilized a lot of emotions, and once again chaos up, anger and fear, the body gently shaking up. Mo Shanghua did not care at all. She released one hand and pressed her with one hand. She did not know what to do with the other hand and pulled out a silver needle by juggling. Under the secluded candlelight, the silver needle is more and more bright. Lu Qianqian has been trained to be a stand-in for strangers since she was a child. She doesn't learn martial arts because the martial arts practitioners are light in body and can show off when she walks. Second, although there is no martial arts, she has experienced some necessary training. For example, how to help the master keep a secret. However, after more than a year's life, she has long forgotten the hardships she had in the past. At this moment, she suddenly sees the silver needle of flowers in the street here, and then she gradually remembers the picture of how to train in the past. Mo Shanghua hasn't done anything yet. She has already thought of the pain in her mind. However, this matter has been recognized by Mo Shanghua, and she doesn't need to hide it. Thinking of this, Lu Qian calmed down again and said in a cold voice, "What if it's me? What can you do?" At this point, she was full of pride. She is the Prime Minister's daughter. Mo Shanghua is just a bedbug who kills her mother. Even if she becomes a princess, she can't turn over completely. She's just like a cloud in mud. However, one second she was still proud, the next second the whole person with a very embarrassed posture, lying on the ground, white and delicate cheek close to the ground, and the flower of a foot, is mercilessly step on her back. The strength is so great that she can't make any effort at all. She can only crawl at the foot of the flower like a waste. She was immediately filled with humiliation. Can't stand it, Mo Shanghua, however, seemed to see through the thoughts in her heart. She opened her mouth word by word. "Don't worry, I remember the pain on my cheek that day when your knife crossed, as well as my mother's account. I can't kill you now, but I will end you myself in the future." Lu Qian's heart more humiliating, struggling to shout, "Bitch, you dare? How dare you?" Mo Shanghua added some strength. Seeing that Lu Qianqian's breathing was not smooth, he spoke slowly. "Of course I don't dare, so you can only suffer some crimes now." Lu Qianqian's chest was like a huge stone. It was painful, and his breathing was not smooth. He said very hard, You, I won't let your eye." Seeing that her breath was getting thinner and thinner, she let her go. Even more, did not forget to take out a piece of PAZ, wiped his soul, as if contaminated with some filth in general. Lu Qianqian was very embarrassed to get up from the ground, covering his chest and gasping. This is just the beginning. Mo Shanghua saw that she was so embarrassed, and the color of her lips was deeper. She dropped a word and turned around to leave. Such a waste of time. Really should not continue to waste time with her. Lu Qianqian looks at Mo Shanghua's arrogant appearance, and his humiliation and resentment become more and more intense. He almost turns them into substance, swallowing and stripping Mo Shanghua's peanuts. With a sudden scream, she turned around and swept all the fruits and snacks off the table, then smashed the memorial tablet on the high place. Mo Shanghua looks at the devastation. Before she can be surprised, Lu Qianqian pounces on her. She changes her face in a magic moment and grabs her in horror. "Sister, you can't stand me beating or scolding me, but how can you do such a wicked thing?" Just then, a group of servant girls came in when they heard the news. When they saw such a scene, they were all pale with fright, and all of them were fixed on the spot. Flower face, suddenly condensation down, immediately understand the intention of Lu Qianqian. However, The ancients attached the most importance to filial piety. How could she think that Lu Qian could do such a thing? When Lu Qianqian was crying, she did not forget to tell the silly girl, "This matter, I can't be partial to my sister. You can invite my father to come." In full view of the public, today, the flower is really speechless. Such a big thing. Charming jade feet natural extremely fast. Soon put the remaining anger Lubahin invited over. When Lu Bohan arrived, he almost looked up at the ruined ancestral hall. "Father, it's all because my sister didn't take good care of my sister. My sister didn't care about it. Please take it lightly." Lu Qianqian kneels at Lu Bohan's feet and successfully draws his attention. The flowers on the street stood on one side with a frosty face and said nothing. Seeing this, Lu Bohan is even more angry. He pulls out the sword hanging in the ancestral hall and rushes towards the flowers on the street. "Evil, evil creature. I must clean up the door today and end your evil with my own hands." This sword was given by the emperor. It has the right to cut first and then play. It has been consecrated in the ancestral temple. Lu Bohan wanted to kill her with this sword. Lu Qianqian is happy, but his heart is completely cool. Tiger poison does not eat sun. Since Lu Bohan didn't recognize her daughter, there was no need for her to think about it. "You don't even want to hear my excuse, so you think I did it, and you want to kill me?" The flowers on the street are full of anger, and the ruddy lips speak coldly. "After all, I've been under your knees for more than 10 years. Don't you care for any family affection?" Lu Bohan pointed at her with his sword. "You can even do things like killing your mother. What else can't you do? I'm not my daughter either. I'm doing this for the people." With that, he waved his sword. He didn't want to let her go. The flower on the street only felt a pain in her heart, and then the last breath of the original owner was gone. There was no sorrow in her heart, only her own indifference. In the face of Lu Bohan's sword, she did not dodge, but directly met him. With only 2 slender hands, she clamped the blade, making Lu Bohan unable to move for half a minute. Lu Bohan was more shocked than angry, and his reason returned a little. Why is this evil animal so strong in martial arts all of a sudden? In the face of such uncontrollable changes, he began to fear. He is so heartless to this evil animal that it's hard to guarantee that she won't resent and retaliate. Just thinking about it, the cold voice of the flowers on the street sounded out, "Don't forget, I'm Princess Yu, the daughter-in-law of the heavenly family. If you kill me, I'm afraid you can't retreat." No matter how big the minister of the humorous is, it is not worth mentioning when he is in opposition to the royal face. Lu Bohan's hand trembled with his sword, and finally he took it back. However, his anger did not disappear. How are not reconciled? "Come on, get the family law. I'll teach this evil animal a lesson." When Lu Bohan was about to fight and kill, Lu Qianqian, who had been hiding for a long time, stood up at the moment. "Father, my sister didn't mean it. It's all my fault. I shouldn't bring my sister to the ancestral hall. Please forgive my sister." "You don't have to plead for her." Lu Bohan's attitude towards Lu Qianqian is not so good, which is a bit of anger. The boy's feet are very fast, and soon they get the family law. The so-called family method is a long whip. The surface of the whip is covered with fine barbs. If you go down with a whip, it will be enough to make the skin split. Qinya has been isolated from the ancestral hall a little far away from the beginning. When the chaos just started, she was also stopped by some old women of Wu Yu's life. She was afraid of making trouble for the stranger, so she didn't dare to do it. But at this time, Sun Small C ran out in a hurry, not a moment, and took such a terrible whip to come over, immediately pressed Can't Bear. She also listened to the whispers of the girl who came back from inside. Now she didn't care to wash too much. She used some 3-legged kung fu that she had taught her, knocked down the woman who stopped her, and rushed in. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Lu Bohan raise his whip and wave it to the flowers on the street. "Princess," Qinya exclaimed, "do you want to quickly come forward?" Shang helped Mo Shanghua resist the whip. Where she was whipped by the whip on her back, her skin burst into tears. A bright bloodstain appeared on her clothes, and her eyes were full of tears. It's a pity that Lu Qianqian scolds in his heart, but Lu Bohan sees that a whip has not been hit, and a whip has to be waved. Mo Shanghua's face was completely gloomy, and her beautiful cheek was covered with frost. Before the whip fell, her figure disappeared in front of her like a ghost. Then, he quietly appeared beside Lu Bohan and snatched the whip from his hand. Princess Qin Yashing was afraid that the whip of flowers on the street would fall on Lu Bohan in the next second. He stood up in pain and yelled. Although Mo Shanghua was angry, he didn't have a clear mind. He endured his anger and didn't fall the whip. However, the evil spirit in the chest is really calmed. She suddenly turned around and drew out the sword that Lu Bohan had put back. Evil animal, what are you going to do? Lu Bohan was terrified and yelled, Come on, come on. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian hurried to Lu Bohan's side and stood in the same line with his father in horror and intimacy. Sister, don't be confused for a moment. Put down your sword. Your father will forgive you. Mo Shanghua ignores them and raises her sword to cut off Qinya's whip. To see the intention of Mo Shanghua, Qinya is relieved, and Lu Bohan is completely angered by Mo Shanghua's behavior. Yu, his eyes were bloodshot and his hand was trembling. He pointed to the flower in the street and couldn't speak angrily. Seeing this, Lu Qianqian became more and more proud, with a touch of criticism on his face. Sister, it's too much for you to do this. Where do you want to put your father? He said, holding Lu Bohan's whole body trembling. He said, Father, please calm down. Don't worry about your sister. Mo Shanghua's eyes coldly looked at the father and daughter, threw the remaining whip on the ground, and said coldly, I'm afraid that no one in this prime minister's mansion really wants me back, and some people want me to die. In that case, she shoo done. Qinya there also have some bad premonition. Can't help but whisper, Princess, we should go back. Mo Shanghua didn't pay attention to her and said firmly, From now on, I'll be Mo Shanghua, not your concubine. What did you say? Lu Bohan's eyes widened in shock and anger. He couldn't believe that Mo Shanghua could say such bold words. Mo Shanghua looks at him coldly. There is no emotion in her eyes. Her red lips are even tighter. She doesn't want to talk with him. Pa 1. Papa, a few clear and then slow applause suddenly rang in a mess of ancestral hall. Such untimely slapping makes Lu Bohan's face a little more heavy. However, when he saw clearly the source of the applause, his face suddenly changed. The man in front of him was dressed in black, with his beautiful, unshaped cheeks and indifferent eyebrows. Who was the national teacher who should have gone to other countries? Mo Shanghua was equally surprised, frowning at the national teacher in front of him. He is tall and tall, standing against the light at the gate of the ancestral hall. His whole body is more mysterious and tall. It's like the prince of the 21st century fairy tale. I don't know why this sentence suddenly flashed across her mind. She was embarrassed and quickly took back her eyes. She never needed a prince. Slightly drooping eyes, Mo Shanghua thought so. At this time, Lu Bohan, after weighing up, reluctantly suppressed his anger and said, When did the national master come back? I don't know. I'll let you see the joke. Thinking of this, he couldn't help jumping on his forehead. He tried to hold back his anger and said, Who is the one who doesn't want to die, but the national master just waved his sleeve and still stood at the door. He didn't enter the door. His eyes were distant and indifferent, and he didn't seem to see anyone. I don't dare to disturb you when I see that Lu Xiang is angry. Lu Bohan couldn't hang up. When there was such a rebellious girl at home, it was ugly for the national teacher. I just don't know, when did the national teacher arrive? Just now. The national teacher cherished the words like gold, only slightly spit out 2 words. That is to say, I didn't see that. However, with such a cool nature as the national teacher, even if I really saw it, it would not spread. Lu Bohan was relieved, and his face relaxed a lot. It's impolite. Please follow me to the main hall to have a rest. The national master nodded, slightly sideways, and let Lu Bohan go ahead. Lu Bohan quickly refused hypocrisy. National teacher, please. The national master nodded, but he didn't refuse. He walked out first. From the beginning to the end, the eyes just slightly swept the flowers, not too much emotional ups and downs, as if they had not met before. A year ago, it was as if there had never been a drop of water. Lu Qianqian looks at Lu Bohan, who leaves in a hurry. His slender nails are almost embedded in the palm of his hand. He is full of unwilling color. Mo Shanghua goes to Qin Ye's side and frowns at the scar on her back. The injury was not light. Although her clothes were not broken, she fainted and opened a bloodstain. Qin Ye's cheek was even more painful, but she just carried it without crying for pain. You know, Qin Ye is no better than her. She didn't know how many sins she had suffered in her previous life and what kind of pain she had not suffered. Naturally, it's no matter. But Qin Ye is just an ordinary little girl. Her heart is more and more angry. Eyes from Lu Qianqian, full of unwilling eyes, swept over. Complexion condensation seems to drip water. What does my sister look at me like this for? Lu Qianqian blinked and hid the venom at the bottom of her eyes, full of innocence. Sister, I think you'd better go. If you wait for your father to come back, I can't protect you. On the street, flower red lips coldly raises, full of cold eyes. What kind of thing are you? Lu Qianqian choked and nearly vomited a mouthful of blood. Bearing his anger in his heart, he repeatedly reminded himself that there were still people around, so he must not expose half of them. Just about to show her tolerant side, but don't want to, Mo Shanghua just left this sentence, then took Qin Ye to turn around and went out, didn't give her the chance to pretend to be a good person at all. Lu Qianqian is a melancholy death. The Mo Shanghua that forces clearly broke off the relation with the prime minister, but she is not very happy in the heart. After all, it was far from her expectations. At least it's time to whip her. Lu Bohan will be expelled from the prime minister's office. In this way, she will not only lose face, but also be helpless. If not, with Lu Bohan's character of being unprofitable and unable to get up early, it is hard to guarantee that he will give her some help in the future because of his status as Princess Yu. Well, this time, she always won. Think of here, Lu Qianqian just feel chest one breath smooth down. The national teacher was cold-blooded. Although he sat opposite Lu Bohan, he did not speak. Lu Bohan knew his temperament well, but he still had some doubts in his heart. He said tentatively, I don't know when a national master came back. Have you ever visited your majesty? Guosher's long and narrow fengmu didn't lift it. He said faintly, never. It's only 2 words, and there's no intention of explanation. Lu Bohan had to harden his head and continue to ask. When a national teacher returned to court, he didn't go to see his majesty first. You and I came here. How can I be so favored by the national teacher? The national teacher slightly raised his eyes to him and said, It's nothing. It's just that I've been away from the court for nearly a year. I'm a stranger to the affairs of the court. I'm here to ask for advice. In his phoenix eyes, he is indifferent and has no desire on his beautiful face. It seems that they are not selfish. Lu Bohan quickly weighed it in his mind, and then immediately hung up his flattered and frightened appearance. The national teacher is serious, and he is deeply respected by His Majesty. How can I bear your advice? Since the national teacher wants to hear it, I will tell you in detail. The national master nodded slightly, but his eyes were still indifferent. Next, Lu Bohan began to elaborate. The wound on Qin Ye's back almost crossed the whole back. It was even more fierce and bloody. Mo Shanghua personally took medicine for Qin Ye's wound. Seeing that her whole body was tense with pain, she trembled slightly, but she was reluctant to cry out. Suddenly, she felt guilty. If it hurts, shout it out. Don't be so patient. She could not bear it, she said in a low voice. Qin Ye clenched her teeth and shook her head. When the flowers on the street look like this, they don't open their mouth, speeding up the speed of edema. After dressing the wound, she said again, In front of me, you really don't have to suffocate yourself like this. Qin Ye still shook her head, pulled her lips, and said with a smile, "Since I've been your man, I can't lose the face of the princess like before." After being with Mo Shanghua for such a long time, she knew her temperament very well and naturally didn't want to give her shame. Smell speech. The lips petals of the flowers on the street are slightly pursed and silent. Chinya is so heartfelt. Her heart is gratified, but also helpless. But these words she is not export. Just take out a porcelain bottle to Chinya. This is oral, twice a day, can't neglect. Chinya takes it and holds it in the palm of her hand. For a long time, she suddenly said, "Princess, I miss my brother a little." Mo Shanghua gently put her hand on Chinya's shoulder. "It's my blunder. I can't protect you." In her eyes, she should take good care of the people who are sincere to her. "I don't mean that." Chinya was afraid that the flowers on the street would think more and explained busily, "I just want to protect you if my brother is here. Although my brother has no ability, he has the strength to fight against them." The flower eyes on the street crossed a little dark light and said with a smile, "How can I need you to work hard for me? In the future, you don't have to go forward. With my ability, you won't lose anything." Chinya pulled a lip cape to smile. "Is slave's good, princess?" Having said that, the stubbornness between her eyes and eyebrows did not lessen. The flower on the street naturally saw it. After thinking about it, she said, "You don't have to be too patient when you are outside. You are really bullied. You must take good care of yourself when you go back. Everything has me." Chinya was moved and nodded. "I know. I will never lose the face of the princess next time." The flower on the street smiles a little and then seems to think of something. Her face is a little cold. "I'll take revenge on you sooner or later for today's revenge. No matter Lu Qianqian or Lu Bohan, she will not let it go." Lu Bohan chattered on and on with the National Master one by one. The National Master listened with a light look and nodded slightly from time to time. But in that long and narrow phoenix eye, under the close look, unexpectedly, faintly visible, a few minutes of beating impatience. The Empress Dowager's birthday seems to be in the future. The national teacher, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly opened his mouth and cut off Lu Bohan's words while he was drinking water to moisten his throat. Lu Bohan just said that he was thirsty. When he heard that the National Master took the initiative to switch off the topic, he was slightly relieved and said, "It's just that the National Master came back at this time. Your Majesty's Empress Dowager will be very pleased to know." The national teacher is not happy, not angry. Stand up. That this also should go back to prepare the birthday gift. Dare not much bother. Lu Bohan got up to see him off with a smile. After seeing off the National Master and going back to the Ancestral Hall, there was no one in the Ancestral Hall, only a few cleaning servants. "Father." Lu Qian came forward at the right time and said in a soft voice, "My sister has already returned to the mansion." Lu Bohan suddenly sank his face, turned back and said, "I said, she is not your sister, not my daughter. Besides, I have already broken off my relationship with her." The last sentence, as if to retain their own little face left in general. Lu Qianqian eyes across a bit happy, but the face seems to be scared in general, eyes slightly wet, voice more light. "Yes, daughter, no will not be in nonsense." Seeing this, Lu Bohan knew that his tone was wrong. He slightly suppressed his anger and said, "Tell the porter that, princess, you will not be allowed to come to the door in the future. The Prime Minister's house is not her mother's house anymore." "Father." Seeing this, Lu Qianqian, with tears in her eyes, said, "Father, I've changed the cards and split the family. I don't think it's the intention of Princess Yu. If you insist on this, how can she stand in the city? She..." Enough. At the mention of these, Lu Bohan was just a little angry. He suddenly rose up again and said angrily, "I didn't go down to tell her about these things. It's enough to give her face. What else can I do?" If Mo Shanghua heard this, he must sneer a few times and ask him if he doesn't make things big. Is it to give her face or for his own face? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.